Hello there.
What's going on? Welcome back to the channel today, guys. It's your boy Ellie Moses and back with another 4K review. I'm sorry if these are getting repetitive and if you don't like them too much. Going to get started on Flicks and Bricks again soon. I'm just waiting to purchase more Lego sets, so the Harry Potter series will be done soon and more live streams incoming as well. But we're back on the 4K train today, and if you guys are enjoying it, please let me know in the comments section down below. And we're continuing our sort of theme with kaiju monster films, sort of in the lead up to Godzilla vs Kong. We did the first Godzilla King of the Monsters, then we did Kong Skull Island, so making our way to the MonsterVerse films. And unfortunately the 2014 Godzilla does not have a 4K transfer, but if you would like me to review that on Blu-ray, let me know as well. So then after that we did the Pacific Rim on 4K, and what was said has been said about that. I really enjoyed that. But fellow subscriber of the channel, Rob Fellows, mentioned that I should review the King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong on 4K. And well, yep, I purchased it. Here you go, Rob, if you're watching. There you go, my friend. I am reviewing it today. The extended version as well, the whole 3 hours and 10-minute runtime. I watched the extended version as well. I mean, I haven't seen this film in a long time, so it was good to rewatch it and see the different take on Kong. He's much different take on Kong than the Kong Skull Island MonsterVerse one. Obviously, he's much smaller. He's 25 feet, whereas the Kong Skull Island, he's 100 feet, about 31 meters, I think. This one is about 7 or 8, I think. Yeah, so around there. So definitely different depictions of Kong. I mean, if we had the Kong we got in Skull Island replaced in this film, there wouldn't have been certain things that happened. And it was just interesting to see the different depictions as well as of Skull Island. I mean, I think this film, it's a 4K review, so I'm not going to delve in too much into the film. So I'm just going to be reviewing the 4K transfer, and I actually watched a bit of the Blu-ray as well straight after. Like, I was just watching it right now just to see more comparisons, to give you guys a more authentic review and more honest review, to see the transfer from the Blu-ray. So hopefully you guys appreciate that, and yeah, we'll get into the review. But yeah, as I was saying before, just the different depictions of Kong, and especially I think this film goes for a more darker tone in terms of like the depiction of Skull Island. There's definitely a lot more gritty, dull colors towards it, especially with the natives. In this film, they're called just Skull Islanders, whereas the Kong Skull Island are Iwis, and the Iwis in Kong Skull Island are more sort of timid, tame. They look more peaceful. They got different colors in their tribes. I know Kong Skull Island is just more of a more colorful and vibrant film. I mean, the sunset shots, and then just the vast landscapes of Skull Island as well, and the sun, like as I said before, the sunsets to the vast green of the valleys and the jungles, and then obviously the desert lands as well. It's really vivid, and I think the MonsterVerse is leaning towards that way as well, especially with the Godzilla vs Kong trailer. But in this film, it tends to be a bit more dull and dark, and Peter Jackson, I think, was going for a more grittier and scary look in terms of the natives, especially with all their sort of earrings or sort of spikes. And yeah, they're definitely more they're definitely not as tame as the Kong Skull Island natives. These guys are definitely pretty freaky and scary. And I remember they freaked me out as a kid, especially when I was sacrificing Anne to Kong and we had the first shot of Kong come out of the fire. I mean, that really freaked me out when I was younger, and I had nightmares from it, actually, if I'm being honest. And I was watching the film last night at around 10:30 p.m. that scene happened, and I was even getting scared myself again. I was like, man, these guys are depicted as creepy. But yeah, let's talk 4K transfer. So initially, guys, this film was a 2K intermediate, so finished on 2K, obviously. So when you're transferring from a 2K to a 4K, as I've said before, you're never going to get the full 4K experience because you don't have much, I think, leeway to work with. Whereas if you shot on digital, the possibilities are endless with digital. You can go up to 8K if you want, for instance. And I know The Martian was filmed on 5K as well, so the possibilities are endless when it's filmed in digital. But when you're transferring from 2K to 4K, you're never gonna quite reach the full potential of 4K. So just a warning with that. And as it's shot on 2K, when transferring to a 2K shot on film, you get the black bars. I know some people they feel like it's more of a cinema experience with the black bars. That's the proper screen. That's how it's meant to look. I prefer the digital where it's transferred to sort of the full aspect ratio of the TV. That's just my preference with it, but that's just I'm not gonna say whether it's a plus or minus with the film. that's how it is. It shouldn't judge your opinion on what a 4K is. I mean, it's sometimes for me it's a benefit, especially the Pacific Rim 4K. But with this one, you get the black bars, just letting you know going into it, and it's a, I think the audio as well as DTS master audio. It's not Dolby in this one, so the audio is fine. There's nothing to complain about. The audio, it's not as pulsating and riveting as Pacific Rim's audio. It's just fine. The audio is perfect. Like, there's nothing to complain about with the audio. In terms of the quality and the transfer of the 4K, now when I was first watching it, especially the opening scenes of the film, I was like, damn, this looks really grainy. And I guess sometimes on a 4K, the grain really works, and especially with the Predator 4K, the grain specifically stands out and it works for that film, just in the jungle setting and setting the tone and just everything, and just the atmospheric nature of Predator in the jungle and the graininess just gives you that 80s nostalgic feel with it. And this film, the grain works as well, especially, I think it's set in the 30s or 50s. I don't know what King Kong is. Oh crap, I don't know what it's set there, but it's set, I think, in the 30s or 50s. I don't know, something around then. So set around, yeah, that era. I completely forgot, but set around then. So I think the grain works when depicting sort of that authentic old school feel. So there is a lot of grain, but in terms of what works from the Blu-ray, especially rewatching or sort of just skimming through the Blu-ray now, the HDR sort of color and transfer is a significant upgrade from the Blu-ray in terms of its clarity and vibrancy as well. I was looking at the scene where Kong is first playing with Anne's character, where she's playing dead and he's sort of just flicking her around. Compared the 4K compared to the Blu-ray, the 4K is well lit and more vibrant than that scene. Everything stands out more in the 4K, and then as well to the significant little details such as characters' gadgets, clothing, skin, everything really clear in the 4K. Actually, it's a great testament to the 4K transfer in terms of from the Blu-ray. However, does it last with the 4K transfer throughout the whole film? No, I find it a bit inconsistent at points. Sometimes you do really get the like, as I said before, the HDR vividness of and clarity of the individual skin, pigments, everything. But in terms of transferring, in terms of like when our characters are sort of surrounded by green screen backdrops, it does sort of, sometimes you get like sort of a white hueish color on their faces and it's not as clear. Feels like they have a lot of makeup on, but that's when they're sort of standing in front of green screen backgrounds. And then in terms of Kong himself, the 4K transfer in terms of his there's a great transfers, and it's a great transfer in, but wow, it's a great transfer. However, it is inconsistent as well, as I said before, with the human element. At some points, Kong does look amazing in 4K. I cannot lie. Especially with some close-up shots of with Anne's character. I mean, there's one scene where they're sort of gazing upon a cliff and looking at the sunset, and that scene where she's like, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful," and that's just after the scene I think Kong was in the fight with the T-Rexes, which looks amazing in 4K as well. You can see the flesh stands out more on his character, like the flesh and injuries, sort of the hair on his skin as well stands out more in 4K, sort of the texture and patterns on his skin as well, and then sort of the wrinkles under his eyes and his nose. He's got little pimples there. Looks really great in 4K in some close-up shots. I'm not going to say all close-up shots, in some close-up shots, and I say it's inconsistent as well. Even the T-Rex scene when they're fighting, just the scales of the T-Rex, they really stand out in 4K as well. However, moving on to some detriments of the 4K transfer, I'm not going to lie, the special effects in this film do not hold up well. There are some scenes where they're absolutely great, but for the majority of the part, especially the stampede scene, it just looks, especially in 4K, as I said before, the HDR brings out more clarity and vividness, and more clarity and vividness to how bad the effects are at points. And most of the time you can tell our characters are just running behind a green screen, blue screen, black drop, whatever it is. Even the surface they're running on, it just looks really smoothed out. There's no texture to it. It looks plain, and it's just running on like a 2D platform. Even sometimes you can see from wide angle shots that our characters are it's significantly that they are animated. Our characters are not actually there, and if they are there, you can see sort of the blue hue around them, the outline of their skin, sort of running on a blue screen backdrop as well. And yeah, it just looks like they're animated in and they're running on like a sort of flat sort of surface. So it does stand out at points in terms of that. That's just one example. That was the Stampede scene. There's a lot of chase sequences as well, especially when they're running away from Kong when they first hit him with the chloroform, just outside the wall of the Skull Islander village. Yeah, and he's chasing him down. Really obvious animation, and really just feels 2D and flat at points as well. And even when Kong gets brought to Broadway, there's a lot of wide shots of Kong where he's not as well rendered with the CGI as he was in some close-ups. I mean, his skin is like, his sort of body texture is sort of inconsistent to the close-ups, where you can see it's more smooth and not as detailed. So I'm just being honest there in terms of when there's scenes on Broadway, and especially when Kong is chasing, or any scenes where Kong is chasing our main characters, or our main characters are running away from something, you can tell they're just running on a green screen or blue screen backdrop, and the animation surrounding it's not well. Even there's one scene where Jack Black's character, I forgot his name, Carl, I forgot his last name, but when he's introducing the audience to Kong, when he's got the curtains behind him, there's a wide angle, there's a wide shot where it just looks fine, and then the close-up, it looks like the curtains are animated, as you can see the blue hue around him. So in 4K, it does definitely stand out as well with that. But in terms of, I've been going for a while, this 4K review. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it, and please recommend me more 4K reviews, especially more monster themed movies as we go to Godzilla vs Kong, if you've stayed this long in the video. But yeah, as I said before, there are some bits where the 4K transfer is absolutely brilliant. There's fantastic clarity with the HDR vividness, and it is more vivid than the Blu-ray transfer. I've said before, Blu-rays tend to be more colorful and lifelike and more vibrant, but in this one, when I was watching it and I compared them side by side, the 4K transfer is definitely more vibrant and vivid than the Blu-ray transfer, and it just looks, the clarity is there and it stands out in some scenes. But as I said before, it is really inconsistent with this film, and throughout the film I was getting real mixed feelings with the 4K transfer. At some points I'm like, wow, I'm really loving this, and then at points I'm just like, damn, that sort of, because throughout the film when I was watching it, I was just playing upon my rating system. I was just if you guys don't know how my rating system works, it goes it's based off Star Wars. I've got some pretty good feedback out of it. It goes Grandmaster, Jedi Master, Jedi Knight, Padawan, Youngling, and then Trash Compactor, which is last. So I was tossing between Padawan and Jedi Knight, between Peter Jackson's King Kong, because Jedi Knight is a really good rating. You got a few flaws there, but you're just not quite there yet. And then Padawan, there's really some enjoyment in there, but it's just the negatives just like outweigh the positives a bit more, and it just drags it down that bit, and it's just below average. But in terms of, I'm really still tossing up about this, because there are some scenes I really love, but I think the special effects do not hold up well in this film, and it's a bit too inconsistent, and it does take you out of the film at points. I know there's definitely a lot there's a lot that stands out in this film in terms of like Peter Jackson's imagination of Skull Island, all the creatures and everything, but I think the special effects just hold it down, and especially in 4K they do stand out a lot. So that's why I'm going to give Peter Jackson's King Kong the rank of Padawan. Yeah, guys, I know you think it might be a bit low, but there is definitely some real great stuff in this 4K transfer. However, it is bogged down by poor special effects, and especially, as I said before, with how clear and vivid the HDR is in certain scenes, it just makes the special effects look worse, and it drags the film quality just below that sort of Jedi Knight level where I would recommend the 4K. But in this one, I think I wouldn't. It is hard. It's definitely, especially from the Blu-ray, it is a significant upgrade after watching the Blu-ray. The vividness, I would actually still recommend you purchase it and watch it, because it is a significant upgrade from how clear the Blu-ray, from how clear the 4K is compared to the Blu-ray. I mean, sort of when I was watching the Blu-ray scene with Kong sort of flicking around at the end, the backgrounds sort of seem more blurred out, but in the 4K they feel more. I think they stand out more. They're brought to the forefront, and I think that just is a testament to how well lit the 4K is. I mean, the lighting in the 4K I think is real different, and it makes sort of the background images and the whole frame stand out. So that's why I would recommend it as well. Just I think every scene is really well lit. But other than that, guys, this was a long 4K review. I mean, Rob Fellows, if you're watching to this, hope you can thank me, man. Hope you really enjoyed it. But please recommend more 4K reviews. Going to have Flicks and Bricks, the final chapter with Harry Potter coming soon, and then we'll kickstart a new series with New Lego. But as always, guys, it's been your boy Ellie Moses. More streams are coming and everything. So as always, hope you enjoy. Take care and God bless.